My clients phoned last summer when they purchased this house. It's a 20-year-old home in Lawrence Park, designed by Richard Wengel. So I got the phone call that they wanted some advice in changing the floors. Quickly, we went from redoing the floors to maybe we'll do kitchen. Oh, and maybe the bathrooms. Oh, and maybe the staircase. I think it was the fastest scope creep we've ever had. And fortunately, my clients were repeat clients. So they knew what I would show them and the aesthetic that I love to be able to explore with my clients to give them happy, joyful interiors. The question was, how much could I actually push them and how ready were they? Once we sat down to discuss each room individually, there were rooms that I saw instantly, product I had seen that I'd fallen in love with and had hoped that my client would also appreciate. One of the first ones was actually the office. I absolutely loved the wallpaper from Quercus & Co. from Australia. I had used it in a previous project in blush pink, but I loved the black. I saw that as her office, which is right at the entrance of the home, which I felt would establish a real feeling for the entire home. She also lives with boys. She has 2 boys and of course her husband. So I wasn't sure how much pink I was going to be able to do in the house. We decided to only wallpaper a few walls as accent walls. We were going to paint the rest, but always do the ceiling in a high gloss pink. I had envisioned this beautiful Imogen Heath wallpaper that is on the walls in this foyer. The foyer is a very large, welcoming space, so I thought, let's go with the beautiful checkerboard marble floor. The other daring leap that my client took in the foyer was actually painting all of the wainscoting this gorgeous Benjamin Moore polo blue. We actually ran that through the entire home as well, which I have to say has ended up being one of my favorite features, is that all the baseboards are this beautiful shade of blue instead of the traditional white or the black that other designers are doing. The living room ended up being my favorite room in the house, but it was actually the last one we designed. Being a maximalist, part of the problem is the fact that every room has to be as strong as the next, or else it looks like we either ran out of ideas or we weren't creative enough and couldn't come up with anything. So I ended up going into a showroom and seeing this gorgeous Lee Joffe wallpaper, and I thought it would be great and dramatic, and living rooms are typically used in the evenings, which are warm and cozy, and I could squeeze in a little bit of vintage lighting that I picked up in Italy and add a little bit of pink for my client. The soft furnishings and accents really were a layered approach. We ended up doing sheers and drapery to give it a more dramatic feel, a little more opulent. We also added in soft pink accents on all of the custom chairs that we did and the sofa as well. We also decided not to do a coffee table and instead do a beautiful tufted round ottoman, again, so that it is a little higher end, a little more of a polished, dressy feel. And for me, the fireplace was just magnificent to be able to do. We had an existing wood-burning firebox, and if you touch it in Toronto, you cannot keep it. So we had to build a hearth and also the surrounding marble to bring it up to code. It was a head scratcher for many months, and needless to say, when it was finished, I felt we had accomplished the impossible here, and I absolutely love it. I love mural wallpaper, but it is very costly to do. And I was really hoping that we would be able to do this beautiful paper showing the Boston Harbor by Ixel wallpaper. And we didn't want to clutter the dining room with art and a bunch of things on the walls. So this really allowed us to be able to use the wall as an actual mural and art in and of itself. We bought a vintage dining room table from England, and we created the custom chairs ourselves, covered in beautiful fabric, which a friend of mine actually designed, Denise McGahey, for Vervain. We also were able to custom make a rug with a Rumfellow in England as well. We bought a vintage light fixture from Italy from the 1970s. It's sort of this huge melding of different periods and styles, and I feel it really works. Tucked away off the foyer is a powder room. It is draped floor to ceiling in Vutza wallpaper in the Judy stripe, which is mimicking curtain drapery. Wang Bishop did the sconces and the light fixtures with the warm yellow. We've created this beautiful sink with the fluted marble. We decided to float the vanity. It really is a jewel box. It's crazy. I don't know if we would have done it if it was any bigger because it would have been even more overwhelming, but it is a wow moment in the house, which I love doing. The kitchen was something that we really worked hard on. This one had more bells and whistles packed into every square inch than I've ever done. Having done so many other homes, there were stones that we had always used, but my client really wanted something completely different for this one. And we didn't want it to compete too much with all the different finishes. We have beautiful walnut. I love the warmth, the fact that it's not white oak, which is what everybody has been doing, including us for years now. Taking it in with the blue is a great complementary color. But of course, it wouldn't be a project of mine if there wasn't a hit of something else, which is the handmade tiles that we did in emerald green above the sink. I find that having the hand done texture, knowing that it's been fired by a woman that we know, and it just gave another personal element into the home. It wasn't a mass manufactured moment. We didn't do a whole bunch of stone. The other thing I love in the kitchen is the display cabinet for the ironstone collection that we have, and the fact that it sits at the end of the fridge, a very busy area, but it really is a beautiful anchor. On the far other side of the kitchen, we have a breakfast nook, which has a coffee machine, the toaster, sort of that busy morning moment where everybody's by the eat-in table and able to get breakfast without having to be in the rest of the kitchen. I'm finding that a lot of our clients are asking for that now, and I would kill for one in my own kitchen. At the side entrance of the home, we have a very tiny but fabulous mudroom we've created. I know that they are a high utility area, they get banged a lot, so we actually clad the walls in shiplap in order to allow a material that would be able to take the knocks and the bangs. The mudroom itself has a ceiling height of 11 feet, which is crazy. It's the highest ceiling in the house. So I didn't want to waste all that space, of course, and I thought adding a grass cloth by Peter Dunham in this amazing stripe would create this great moment and a little bit of whimsy in a room that's quite tight but has such dramatic ceilings. And then of course we have the necessary workhorse of the mudroom, the built-ins with coat storage and drawers for hats, mitts, gloves, and the requisite fabulous bench so that you can sit down and put your shoes on. The primary bedroom is quite a divergent from the rest of the house. It is quiet, it is muted, it is monochromatic. I decided that beige would be the way to go, but that it had to be a textural experience. So the first thing we chose was a gorgeous wool cashmere fabric for the headboard to channel set it so that you had that feeling of luxury and high end. We also, of course, had to get good shading and have soft layers in there. We have this beautiful coved ceiling in the primary bedroom. We ended up painting this very soft lavender to give it this warm, lighter feeling. Of course, the pièce de résistance is the gorgeous chandelier with hand-blown glass baubles on it, like a piece of jewelry, and the couch at the end where they can sit quietly at the end of the day. Although they swore they would never use a sofa in their room, I have heard since that they're thrilled that they have it and they actually use it a lot more than they thought. The primary ensuite is one of my favorites. The tiled backsplash that we used above the sink area was actually one of the first tiles I pulled for that room, but it really was the impetus for everything that followed. We left the shower, the tub, and the vanities where they were. We took out the old, we put in new, but in the same space, and we surrounded them with gorgeous marble tiles for the shower, ribbed glass. But for me, it's the curvature of the waterworks shower head that is the wow. Everything just feels so pretty. No detail was forgotten. And when they're in there, it's just bliss. Their younger son's bedroom was the first one to be wallpapered, and everybody walked in afterwards and said, "Oh my gosh, what else are you doing in here? This is amazing." Lucky for us, Christy Stafford already had the matching fabric, so then we did the wallpaper and the fabric on the headboard. Annie Coop is one of my favorite small batch designers as well, and her striped drapery fabric was a must-have, and to be able to add it into the bedroom was fabulous. The built-ins were already there. We just finished them differently, reinvented the window seat, and I think the room is phenomenal. The emerald green ensuite is just a wow for me. You know, we had a little bit in the kitchen. I was really thinking with such a tiny ensuite that we needed to come up with a really high-end luxurious feel that still spoke to teenage boy, but would also grow with him, because we may change wallpaper later on, but we're never redoing a bathroom. The guest bedroom upstairs was really necessary. We did do a little bit of budget savings by reusing furniture that they already had and just reupholstering it and reinventing it, which actually was kind of fun because it went from solid gray fabric to wow. Of course, Imogen Heath's fabric on the drapery. We also used a fabulous wallpaper that's actually vinyl, and you would never know it. So another one that's high impact, easy wear and tear, and great to be able to keep clean. The main bathroom is a quiet moment in the house. It's more of a textural experience than it is a color experience. We found the blue tile. It's fabulous. To me, it looks like water. I loved it. We didn't want to do a standalone tub, so we took a moment to make and create this beautiful marble decked undermounted tub, which was perfectly framed with the window. I love the double mirrors. It allows room for guests and kids to be in at the same time. A large vanity with lots of storage. It's a high-use bathroom, but it also feels very opulent and spa-like. And then, of course, we changed the white walls to vinyl grass cloth so that we added that last layer of texture, which really made it a finished bathroom. The laundry room is in the basement of this home. I fell in love with the wallpaper that's from Sewn in the UK. We also decided that we needed to have a fun mosaic pattern on the floor, which we custom designed out of penny rounds. Quick, simple, as long as you're not installing it. The laundry room doesn't have a window, so it needed to be bright and cheerful. So we chose a great periwinkle paint. And then, of course, I had to add some sconces. We also added a steam closet, which we hadn't done before, which was magnificent, and now I want one. I feel the room really is bright and sunny despite being an interior room, and I certainly wouldn't mind doing my laundry in there. One of my favorite bathrooms happens to be in the basement. We really dressed it up. Walnut vanities, gorgeous tile. This color was just phenomenal. We did a beautiful chrome outline on all of the shower glass to add that extra feel of luxury to the space. A lot of people are enjoying color right now. It's totally having a resurgence. Pattern is now in, and we're finding the dialogue when clients come in is quite different. 5 years ago, it used to be, we love what you do, but it's not for us, but we want to work with you. Now the conversation is, I'm coming to you, I want color, I want pattern, but I don't know how to do it. And I would say for somebody who's starting the journey down a colorful path for a happy interior, to understand scale. You can use small prints, which won't have the bigger impact. You can use large abstracts, and that will have impact. One of the things I always say to start with is paint color. Paint can be repainted. So if you want to dip your toe into the pond, maybe you paint a wall a crazy color or your ceiling a crazy color and live with it. Maybe next is your trim. Maybe you get rid of your white trim and you paint it a color. All of that can be undone with a can of paint. It's not a huge commitment. And I think that being able to start slowly and work your way up sometimes is an easier entry point for people.